You're watching KSPW Channel 8, Salinas, Monterey, Santa Cruz. This is Feedback at 5 with Teresa Wright.
Hi, I'm Teresa, and welcome to Feedback at 5. Please welcome Amanda and Sean Baker back, and I want to thank both of you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome, and this is such an exciting week because it's Build Week. It's about quality of life to a child and affirming all of the components of what makes up a child and make them feel whole. And that's what you guys are talking about. So at what point did you realize that this became your mission? Your call. He's smiling. He's got the sweetest smile on his face.
It didn't take me very long. You know, there were signs around this particular playground explaining kind of the vision behind it and how the community had come together to build it in honor of a local child there with spina bifida, just like Tatum. And as I read it and was really overcome with emotion, I remember looking at Sean and saying, I think we're supposed to build one of these back home. And he laughed. You know, we'd been there 5 minutes. And
Denial.
and here we are a year later, getting ready to do just that. So it's been a pretty incredible process.
Now, so Sean, you're smiling. Do you want to add anything before I ask this next question?
Yeah, to me, the best part is when Amanda decides that she needs to do something. That's exactly what it is. There's 2 breaths, and she says, I think we need to do this. Yeah. And my response was, someone else should probably do this, but you know, we're going to Yellowstone. But I know better. You know, we've been married 13 years, and I know just to say yes, ma'am. So, but it didn't take Amanda any time at all. As soon as she saw the story of this little girl, 4 years old, with spina bifida, the community came together to support what this was. There were too many things that happened to put us in that place at that moment to just ignore it, to ignore that this was bigger than us, and the best we could hope to do is hold on and do what we're supposed to.
You know, you just used a term that has always irritated me since the president was elected and when he was going through the election process, this notion of taking back the country.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yes.
And what does that make you and I then, or anybody that doesn't look like
means, for me, it means, and what they mean when they say it, they want to go back to the days when segregation reigned, when you and I knew our place, knew where we were not supposed to be doing the kinds of things we're doing now. Black woman shouldn't be sitting in that chair. Black man shouldn't be teaching at the University of Virginia. I couldn't go to the University of Virginia when I was the age of my students, but I could go there now and I could teach there now. And that's because the movement we had. Now people of color can do things we never dreamed of doing. And there's some people who can't stand that and who want to go back. And when they say, I want to take back America, that's what they mean.
The city of Salinas and its leaders, perhaps none more so than its mayor, have seen a lot of challenges of late. And so we thought we'd sit down with the mayor and just get his take on what's happening in his city and his thoughts about it. So with that, Mayor Joe Gunther, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me. This is a real pleasure to be here and talk about the fine city that we live in. Of course, it's got challenges, but we have a great city.
Absolutely, and that's what I love about your being here, is to talk about all that. Because, you know, I have to say, first of all, it's still sort of congratulations, because you were new in the job. You just got elected into this job at the beginning of the year, and almost immediately you got hit by a whole lot of stuff.
There was a lot of action going on after I got elected.
Yeah.
I'm the first mayor probably somebody tried to recall after the first 90 or 95 days.
Right.
You know, we have some unemployment issues that came up with Capital One that we're working on. You know, we've had a little bit of unemployment. We've had some spike in the crime. But we have a lot of good things going on in our city.
You have a lot of things, and I just want to take you back for just a second, because you said it, you know, the 90 days in and people were trying to recall you. So you've got a lot of stuff going on in the city council, dysfunction, if you will. I mean, there are recall efforts against you. There are recall efforts against one of your council members. The council's having to sue. So all of that is such a distraction, and I think seen from outside of the council and the city as, my God, that stuff you shouldn't even have to be dealing with. You should be dealing with the business of the city.
I was bullied a lot.
You were bullied a lot?
Yeah.
When did that start?
First grade.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it continued all the way to 4th grade until I went to Sticks and Stones.
So let me ask you, Ian, what kind of things were you bullied about? I mean, because first grade, I mean, and that's the thing that happens, it seems like, once a kid gets picked on, then they just keep getting picked on, right? So from first grade to fourth grade, were they the same people that were picking on you? And what kind of things were they picking on you about?
The way I dress, or the way I talk, the way I look.
What were they saying about the way that you talk?
Just little things like, why did you stutter? Or
Okay.
I was like the kid that always, let's go pick on someone, and then they'll choose me.
They chose you. And I asked you that because I used to get picked on when I was a kid about the way that I talked too.
Yeah.
So that's why I was wondering what kinds of things they picked on you about. So from first grade to fourth grade, you got picked on. What did you do about it? Did you feel like you could do it about it? And was there anybody that ever stood up for you?
No, there wasn't. I just kind of went with it. It was hard, but
Yeah, and you know what? And I want to ask you this one, Fernando, because when he said he sort of went with it, to me it just made me feel like, oh my gosh, you know, you just have to go with it. People are picking on you, and it seems like, I mean, we all know that that's not right, that that's not the way it should be. Yeah, that's sort of messed up. So tell me about Sticks and Stones then, Ian.
it helped me build my confidence.
So what happened? Can you tell me about Sticks and Stones? How did that work for you?
We would
What did you do?
We would go into groups and just talk about things that were bothering us. And I really opened up because there's a lot of things bothering me. And it just helped me build my self-esteem. If someone were to make fun of me, I would say, stop. That's not cool.
Yeah.
It's rude.
And would people stop? Would they stop?
They kind of
Backed up, yeah. Because you know what, I think a lot of times that people who do the bullying, they think that they've got you scared and you're not going to say anything. Yeah, right? So did you go through the program as well, Fernando?
Yeah, I actually did.
What made you decide to go through the program?
At home, I grew up with a big family, a lot of brothers, and it was kind of hard seeing them because they're kind of older, and they were already seniors, and they were gonna do their own things,
Right.
Kind of hard, not having them there anymore, they would probably pick on me sometimes, but that's how brothers are,
Yeah, but sometimes brothers can even take it too far. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're my brothers,
Right.
And that's why I wanted Sticks and Stones,
So what did Sticks and Stones teach you?
Speak up, help me speak up more, not only with family, but with I don't know, for example, say I'd see somebody picking on some other kid, I'd speak up for them, and be like, hey man, relax, go pick on somebody else, not pick on somebody else, but yeah.
No, that's what we don't want, right?
Yeah, leave him and leave everybody alone.
If you have women that are coming, women from all walks of life, I would imagine, coming to the conference, and some of them are business women who probably have control of their environment, right? But you also have those other women who are working in environments where they don't have a lot of control and a lot of say to what you're talking about, where the intuitiveness is appreciated and is validated. So what do you say to women who are working in those kinds of environments? For the uninsured in our country, there probably was nothing more anticipated that people were looking forward to was the Affordable Care Act. And with all of the news that we've seen about the national website, there's probably nothing more frustrating, aggravating, and disappointing. But here's the good news, folks. If you live in the state of California, you don't even have to worry about that federal website, because you are going to register directly through the site that the state of California has established. And so I've got two folks here today who's going to tell us why that's easy to do, how the program works, and how you can sign up. So I'm really, really pleased to be able to introduce my guests who are here today and to help get rid of some of the confusion that's out there surrounding the Affordable Care Act, because there are too many people that need this health care, and we want to make sure that you get the right information. Let me go back and touch on costs for just a bit, because as you said, there's been sort of this disinvestment by the states, and year after year, continuously in California, what we saw were student fees and rates just skyrocketing. And I remember being in conversation with some people during that time where, there were those that felt like the students and those families that were trying to get their kids into college, that this has become unaffordable. California used to be the dream state, right, for education. But on the flip side of that, I heard other people say, well, everybody shouldn't be going to college anyway. It was sort of a flippant attitude of well, if they can't afford it, they can't afford it. Maybe they shouldn't be going to college. And so what do you say to those people when you come from the position of that is the interest of our country, that we have an educated populace?
There is, actually, you've raised a number of issues here.
I go home to my wife and child every night. I get up with them every morning. And to think that people go off on tours of duty for many, many months, for not knowing when they will come back, not knowing if they will come back, to think about that level of sacrifice that people are willing to make for their country, for their community, and what they expect in return. I'm not even sure if they would say that they expect it. What I expect our country and our community to provide in return.
You are a man who has served. You know, you were there in the war, this most recent war. Can you talk about, because Jason said it, I'm not sure if they expect it, but from their perspective, for the men and women who are over there in the trenches, who are getting shot at, you know, who don't make it back. I've got friends who have lost their young, you know, nephews in this last war. So for those families, not to, you know, can you speak to that?
Well, they don't expect it. They have a job to do. They don't do it for cemeteries. They don't do it for tributes. They don't do it for the medals on the chest. They do it because it's in their nature, because they are about service. They are about stepping up and serving that country. So they don't expect anything. They just expect to do the job that's handed to them, and they've done it.